Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Talent Network discussion on the future of work. I am Emily Young with NC Tech, and we are so excited to be bringing you this incredible panel discussion today. Just wanted to say a couple quick housekeeping items. If you have any technical difficulties or issues, you can go ahead and submit those through the chat. We are recording today's session, so we'll be providing that recording to all registrants very shortly here after the event. So be on the lookout for that. Please feel free to share with your networks. And we will also be taking some questions. So our moderator, Harold with APC, will let you know how we will take care of that in just a moment. So without further ado, a thank you to APC and to Right Direction Technology Solutions, our sponsors of today's panel, and turn it over to Harold Zeissner with APC to get us started.
Great. Thank you, Emily. I appreciate the welcome. So I speak with you this morning. I've already gone through an audio and video check. And the development that was not shocking to me. Tweaks needed to be made. Over the past few weeks, I've made multiple adjustments to my lighting, and it is still not how I want it to be. I've moved or reconfigured my home office space at least 3 times since April. About 10 feet away from me, my wife is hosting a conference call. A few feet from her, a 7-year-old is trying to navigate Google Classroom. And an energetic boy, 5 years old, where is he? Well, he is in a house somewhere, I hope. Welcome to the future of work. The scenario I just described is my own, though slightly exaggerated as it relates to this morning. Yet, over the past 6+ months, many of you have a situation that resembles what I just described. All of you have had to navigate uncharted waters as it relates to how you work. What is important to you as individuals is probably different than it was in February of this year. Well, good morning again, everyone. And on behalf of NC Tech, I would like to thank you for joining us on a beautiful first day of October. My name is Harold Zeissner, Director of Customer Experience at APC. You are one of many people in attendance for our discussion this morning. More likely than not, you're joining us from your home. An idea that was probably far-fetched to you at the beginning of this year. This morning, our panel of talent acquisition and change management experts will share their thoughts and vision on remote working, just one of a number of work-related topics we will address. What is the future of work? When will it occur? Well, the future is now. At least it is for organizations that are looking to identify, hire, and retain top talent. Let's face it, 2020 has been a tough year, and we still have a ways to go. Yet, how about we change the narrative a bit? What if this is the year we truly transformed how we work? What if concepts and ideas that were years away from implementation are now a reality? Actually, we don't need to envision that. It is occurring. A transformation is occurring. The question now, are you and your organization on board? As I mentioned, I work for APC, a company I'm proud to call home. For over 25 years, we have helped our clients by providing talent that fits the needs of their business. Talented individuals that are often hard to find. Our clients engage us to help solve a business problem through our respected consultants or through our ability to partner with them on projects. It is not a transactional relationship with APC, it is a consultative one. Our candidates and prior consultants come to us because they know they will be treated with respect, with empathy, and in a professional manner. One that will ultimately place them in a role they are excited about. Don't just take my word for it. Check out our Glassdoor page where our consultants and employees share their experience and provide a rating that is at the top of the industry. If you received the Triangle Business Journal, you may have read that in August of this year, APC was recognized as one of the best places to work. We are confident that happy employees positively impact our ability to deliver for our clients. A few items to mention before we start our interactive discussion, and that's correct, interactive. Please submit your questions for our panel via the Q&A function. Depending on your screen settings, it'll be at the bottom right. You may need to click the three little dots at the bottom for Q&A, but we are going to make every attempt to answer your questions. And if we do not do so during this hour, we will follow up after this event. Also, let's all put our virtual networking hats on. Via the chat function, and this is where it gets confusing, right? We got a Q&A and a chat, but via the chat function, please share your name, what city you're in, and if you're comfortable, your role in the company you work for. As our audience, you're in for quite the treat. We have transformative leaders joining us this morning from Credit Karma, Truist, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina. With that said, I think it's time for us to get the party started, right? So I'm going to ask our panel, and we're going to start with Ashley. Please introduce yourself, your title and responsibilities, the company you work for, and in 30 seconds, why is the future of work important to you? Thank you, Ashley.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ashley Anderson. I lead talent acquisition globally at Credit Karma. Our mission is to provide tools that create financial progress for all of our 100 million members. So being innovative in how we define what work will look like in the future is super important to us. We're not shipping a physical product. The work our employees produce are the products we use to help our members. So ensuring that our employees are engaged, motivated, and that is paramount to the success of our company and our mission. So we are constantly iterating on our people strategy to the future.
Great. Ashley, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us this morning. Connie.
Hi, I'm Connie Atkinson. I work at Truist, which most of you are probably thinking, I've never even heard of that, but we are the 6th largest financial company in the United States. But you may not even recognize it yet because we have not branded our branches or locations, but we are the result of a merger between BB&T and SunTrust, which hopefully you have heard of both of those financial organizations or familiar with them. I am a teammate experience change manager. I sit in HR and I innovate change for all types of initiatives across the organization that's related to our teammates. I have lots of years of experience in HR, but what I was finding is that many of the times the traditional HR programs, they didn't provide the work options that our teammates needed today. And so I get excited about building new ideas and new solutions. So I've been focusing on the future of work for several years now, and I'm excited about where it's taken me in my career.
Great, Connie. I think most of us might have heard about that merger. So I appreciate you sharing that, and I think we're all looking forward to the Truist brand to continue to pop up as the years come. So thank you.
It's coming. It'll be out next year.
All right. We're right around the corner. Darren, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Darren Brinkman. I am the leader of the talent acquisition function for Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina. And unlike Ashley or Connie, the responsibilities that our organization have really relate to the members of North Carolina, and not just those individuals that are covered by Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance programs and or policies, but the things that we do with our members are expanded by quite a bit in terms of the things that we do within our communities. And so again, Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're always thinking about the future, and the future is now, as Harold had indicated earlier. And so I look forward to participating in this panel and answering any questions that folks may have.
Great. Darren, thank you. And again, Ashley, Connie, Darren, we appreciate you being available this morning. For our audience, as this is an NC Tech event, though I think we might have some individuals joining us from outside the area, it's great just to have that representation. Ashley and represents Credit Karma and sitting in the Charlotte area. I know Connie and Darren are based here in the Triangle. And it's just, I think the perspective we're able to share this morning is that of a company with the size of Truist and the BB&T SunTrust merger. Certainly Blue Cross, who at this time is as vital to our state as it ever has been, and then the exciting innovation that's occurring with Credit Karma and how they're really, from a financial services standpoint, offering and bringing innovative things to the table. So we should have a great perspective. And I'm going to start with Connie as we get into our Q&A. And Connie, I'm going to ask you to share with our audience one innovation your organization has made as it relates to today's world of work.
Well, one thing that's been exciting for me is our focus on caregivers in the workforce. So, probably like your workforce, we have a lot of teammates who care for children or elderly parents. And although we offered some time off related options, we realized that the options that we had maybe didn't always fit the actual need. So we began researching. We also conducted lots of teammate listening sessions, focus groups, to really help find solutions that would allow our teammates to come to work, focus on work while they were there, and feel confident that their family member was being taken care of while they were at work, or even if they're at home working, all of those things that fit into that. So as a result of all of that work, we launched several new initiatives. We expanded our time off programs. We offered family care support in terms of, finding the appropriate care. We even provided some reimbursement options for care for a select group of our teammates. So that, and also one thing I forgot to mention there, we launched a community-style forum for caregivers to connect, share best practices, and just support one another. So one of the things that I find that's innovative about this is that, companies in the past have offered on-site childcare for years. That's been something that's been part of a lot of business models. But what I think was new or different with our approach was really our teammate-centric design. So we didn't take a solution and just use something that our executives thought up, up in an office, but we went to the teammates to really find, what did they want or what do they need, and we build around that, which I'm proud of that work.
Great. Thank you, Connie. And I would imagine this is very well received. Has it exceeded even the expectations that maybe yourself and other leaders at Truist had? Absolutely.
Some of the programs we tested as a pilot really during COVID. So we were like, oh, let's try this. But it was so well received, and the feedback that our executives got from it, we decided to make it a permanent part of our offering for benefits for our teammates.
That's great. It's of course, right now and as we move forward, these are the things that I know, speaking for myself and probably just about everyone attending, really get you excited about being at an organization. So, I would love to actually get Ashley's perspective on, from an innovation standpoint, something that's occurred during this last few months, from Credit Karma's viewpoint.
Yeah, so I will say that this is probably not super COVID related, but I do think that this year has shined a spotlight on the equity piece of work, working from home, what that looks like for different types of people. And with equity, of course, we have to talk about compensation and pay equity as it relates to that. So we actually scrapped performance reviews and bonuses. Our talent team reviewed each person's job, and we identified that there are over 400 different jobs that almost 1,300 of us do. So now every person that is in a job is now paid exactly what everyone else in that same job is making. And that removes opportunities for bias, because let's be honest, most of the time, managers aren't really great at giving clear or hard messages as it pertains to performance. And so this ultimately creates a super transparent pay equity. So all of our employees, know that they are being paid the same as the person that's sitting next to them doing the same job. And our employees have really appreciated this move. We do have levers that we can pull for those with exceptional performance, but it's not related to that cash component of our equity, or excuse me, of our compensation. I would say one thing that I thought was really cool that Credit Karma did during the time of COVID was they gave us a pretty sizable reimbursement for home office equipment, knowing that some people might not have the money to buy what is necessary to work from home for an extended time. And I think that was super appreciated.
Very well. There are a number of things that you just touched on, Ashley. And, one of the things I would even say to our audience, a lot of this transformation that we're talking about over the last 6 months is certainly related. It's out of necessity, right? I'm going to try, and I think as panelists, we're going to try. We've all probably got some COVID burnout, but our focus really is, we know what the cause for a lot of this is, but will it stick? What can we do better? And just to hear so far the examples that Connie was able to give, with Truist, and just the ability for caregivers to provide and have access to things, and just love hearing the equity piece from Ashley that wow, now's the time to take a look at a lot of these things that we've been discussing for years. 1,300 employees, 400 different jobs. Let's get everyone on the same scale, on the same page, and just another example of now's the time to innovate. So as we're moving along, and I'm seeing everyone using that chat feature, so thank you, and please continue to do so. And of course, that Q&A feature, we will get to questions that you have for our audience. But Darren, we'd like to go back to you. And earlier this year, actually back in January, I was reading a post recently that was from January on LinkedIn, and it stated that 96% of talent professionals, such as everyone on this panel and a large preponderance of our audience, believe employee experience is becoming more important. That, again, was pre-pandemic. So I'm going to ask our panel, and Darren, I'd like to start with you. How important is employee experience as we move forward?
Thanks, Harold. That's so it's interesting to me that just in January, LinkedIn made this sort of revelation. Employee experience has always been important, but perhaps it hasn't appeared to be as important until we started to experience some of the record lows we experienced earlier in the year related to unemployment. And people within companies have opportunities. And so I do believe that it is incumbent upon employers to provide and to create an environment for employees that makes them feel welcome, that makes them feel part of the team, makes them feel important, and that their contributions are viewed as such. These are certainly trying times. Fast forward 7 months later, we don't have record low unemployment. We have quite the opposite. But the initiatives that companies had begun earlier in the year, or a decade ago, are just as important today as they've ever been, because even though the unemployment rate is high, those individuals continue to have opportunities to work with other companies. And I think Blue Cross Blue Shield has done a number of different things to help us sort of bolster. I'm happy to announce the results from the Great Places to Work organization. We're very close to breaking the top 100. And a lot of that has to be attributed to the programs and the policies that we put in place for employees, such as during the COVID pandemic, having actually a separate bucket of PTO for individuals who are directly affected by COVID-19, whether personally or within immediate family. And so again, employee experience has always been important, but it's even more so today.
Great, Darren. I appreciate you sharing those items. And one thing I would just like to add, due to the nature of my role, I'm working with a variety of companies, so I see this across the board. And there's no doubt through conversations I've had with consultants and with leadership that employee experience is going to be a defining game changer for all of us as we move forward. And a little bit later, we might even get into the candidate experience part of that. But I think for our audience, just whether you're in leadership or whether you've got a voice, the employee experience as we move forward it's critical. And it's going to look different for each one of us, but it's great to hear the focus that Blue Cross has on that. Darren, thank you for sharing that with us. And I know that the same is true at Truist and at Credit Karma. So we are getting some Q&As, and I'm going to throw a tough one out right now, and I'll put the disclaimer, Ashley, if you're not from an HR perspective maybe able to touch this one, I think all of us will understand. But we do have a question about the pay equity situation you mentioned, and the question is, did you have to lower salaries, and how did that go?
No, actually, we didn't. In fact, we saw a raise in most of those salaries. Essentially, what we did is we combined that, typical 15% bonus opportunity that had been as part of our cash compensation and rolled that directly into the base pay. So it was fully paid out. I like to call the bonus the peanut butter spread at most companies. They'll tell you that there's 15% opportunity, but by and large, like most people get in between 6 and 8%. There's not a ton of distinction between what the payout looks like for people. So it's actually not a pay for performance plan. We, as I said, we did see a lot that went up, which was really great. And of course, there were some people that we identified that were probably over leveled, but not by much. And so we just let them stay where they were because it was not a substantial difference.
Well, Ashley, we appreciate your candor there, and also, hearing how Credit Karma is taking an issue that everyone's been talking about, has addressed it head on right now, and in a manner that it seems to me was something everyone can appreciate, and has everyone on the same playing field moving forward. So great stuff there, and thank you for our audience for asking that question. And I'm going to flip while we got the Q&A rolling. See if any of our panel wants to address this. As far as career development and reskilling initiatives, is there anything that your organizations that you're aware of have implemented? And just also, I'd say to our audience, because I know there's a number of talent acquisition leaders on this call, feel free in chat to put some perspective that you may have as well. But step back to, I don't know if Connie, Darren, Ashley, is anything that you're personally involved in as far as reskilling or career development?
Go ahead, Connie.
Well, yeah, I'll go first here. There are several things that we are working on about reskilling, and one would be in the technology space that we have, of course, with the emergence of AI, we have, I think the prediction is 30% of our workforce will be replaced by AI. But really what that means is that we will not lose our workers. We just need to reskill our workers in different ways, maybe capitalizing on their intellect and so forth, building more relationship building skills within our teammates. So that some of that work is being worked on now. That we haven't implemented anything yet that I'm aware of that I could talk about right now. And then we have some, of course, reskilling of in other areas where we're working on the plan of thinking about, we're trying to move away from a real heavy top-down structured education approach and the framework that we had to more of employee-led education, where they're continuously learning and it's self-directed learning. And so that's some of the work that's going on. Again, nothing implemented that I can share any success with, but that's where we're headed. Darren, did you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to add a couple things. So, it's always important for employees to remember that they are, in charge of and responsible for their careers. But some of the things that we've been doing at Blue Cross Blue Shield to help folks sort of recognize that and be reminded of that are we're taking advantage of our HRIS platform, which is Workday. And Workday, I love the cloud. I love these SaaS-based solutions because they're constantly working to change and improve. And one of the things that they've created is this internal marketplace, which is geared toward the mobility of employees within the organization, not just to create a bunch of skills and to throw it into their profiles, but we're actually going through a process right now of identifying what all the key skills are across the organization, and then matching those skills up to individuals within an organization. And so what we'd almost like to be able to do at some very near point in the future is recruit individuals internally that may not even be thinking about opportunities in other areas of the organization, just based on those skills that we see. And we may not hit it 100% of the time, but that's an example of one of the things that we're doing to help individuals develop and grow their careers.
I'll jump in
Great.
really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll say that this isn't, to Connie's point, this isn't something that we have put together and pushed out across Credit Karma, but I will say, and those of us that are all recruiters can appreciate that when a hiring freeze happens due to COVID, a lot of people are left wondering, do I have a job still? And so thankfully, our chief people officer and our CEO really decided to put people over profit. And so I spent about a month redeploying more than 40 people on my team, and then also a bunch of people in our marketing team to different jobs across the company, so that there was actually meaningful work for them to do and saving their jobs, of course. So now that we're starting to hiring again, I'm asking people to come back. But of course, I'm super happy for those of them that have become test engineers and growth marketers and technical program managers. Hopefully that some of them stay. So I just wanted to throw that out as just a COVID specific example.
Thank you, Ashley. And I think I may echo a little bit of what you said. Is I've seen the companies that are innovative and wanting to provide opportunities for their employees have proven that they are highly talented and highly motivated individuals, the ability to move into different roles. And now, again, is a wonderful time to do that. I think a lot of companies are really doing everything they can to retain staff. And one of the key areas, and one of the things I would encourage our audience to do is continue to grow, continue to pick up new things, continue. Your education is always ongoing. So if there's one thing that hopefully we can get out of it, is just try to put another tool in the toolbox as you go on. So it's great to hear that that's occurring at all of these organizations. Gonna take something that I see in the chat feature right now, because we're actually going to touch on this a little bit. So Darren, you're on the clock here. We've got old friend Magnus, and I believe Magnus, you're at Optum, if you don't mind me mentioning. You mentioned that one of the things you're proud of where you're at is this greater embrace of hiring talent, in quotes, where they are, as opposed to where we'd like them to sit. Darren, something we've touched on a little bit, and don't know if you'd like to share some of your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do that. So it's an interesting perspective, and I hope I'm answering this question. Make sure I'm not reading into it too much. But at Blue Cross Blue Shield, before COVID, pre-COVID, we had an open work environment where when I came to campus, and we have a campus of 8 buildings, I could go to any one of those 8 buildings, plug in, and start working. So we haven't historically been an organization that says, you know, Darren, Ashley, Connie, Harold, you need to work here. This is your location. Post-COVID, things do look quite a bit different for us. We have not begun to engage in return to campus activities. Right now, roughly 98 to 99% of our employees are working remotely. They are working from home. We do have a couple of individuals that are required to come to the office every day. But by and large, of our 5,000 employees, 98 to 99% of them are working from home. And it has been made apparent to us that at some point in time in the future, when we do begin to slowly, methodically, strategically return to work, the thing that will be most important is the health and welfare of the employees as they return to work. And this isn't public. I'm projecting a little bit here, but I think when we return to work, I won't return to work every day of the week. I might have a day of the week that I go to work, and I will probably have a specific space where I go. And if I am working in a building with other individuals that are happen to be scheduled that day, we won't be sitting next to one another, right? We will be socially distanced in order to cut down any risk of infection. And so, again, there was another question in the Q&A, not just the chat, that asked this question. This is a real opportunity, specifically for Blue Cross Blue Shield. I can't speak for Parma or for Connie's organization, but Blue Cross Blue Shield has been an organization historically that has believed I've got to see the people sitting all around me to make sure that they're doing the things that they need to do. But in this environment, managers are realizing that they can't allow their employees to have the freedom to work from home and to have flexible work arrangements. And we're finding that we are just as productive in all circumstances, and in some circumstances even more productive in this new environment.
Great, Darren. Thank you for that. And I hearing out there that a number of organizations are really trying to move to this mindset of let's really focus on the talent. Let's not focus as much where they sit. We've started to prove that with technology and proper communication, we can get things done. On the flip side, and one of the things that's come of this, and there's been a number of stories as specific to North Carolina, whether that's Charlotte, whether that's the Triangle, the Triad, certainly the beach, the mountains. People want to live here. We're in a great state, and we're very fortunate to be there. So there is, I think a lot of people are using this time to decide to relocate, with North Carolina being one of the biggest areas. So even if companies are wanting talent to at least be in the general area, perhaps that's for coming in the office a couple of days a week or as needed, we're starting to see a shift in that. I don't know if that's anything that Ashley, Connie, Darren, you've seen or heard or targeted of just individuals that are now moving, this influx of talent that we're starting to see here. It was one of my legendary, let me throw a question to 3 people without asking one of them directly. So maybe I answered it and we can move on there. But we are, I think, seeing that. And there's a lot of literature out there and a lot of stories out there of this influx of talent that is coming into North Carolina. So one of the exciting things.
So Harold, so what I will say is I want to say maybe 12 to 18 months ago, it was projected that 1 million more people would be moving to North Carolina in 5 years. And I think we are in North Carolina seeing the benefit of that. We are having to relocate fewer people into our organization because the talent is already here, right? Regardless of COVID-19, et cetera. The influx of talent is helping us. While we do have primarily set up shop in Durham, we do have other offices in Winston-Salem as well as in Charlotte. And so I think we're already seeing the benefit of that.
Yeah, and I will add that, one of the reasons that Truist established their headquarters in Charlotte was because of the talent in North Carolina. I mean, Charlotte has talent for the financial industry, of course, but also because of the technical talent that's within North Carolina. And that was so important to us. And I'll give a plug to NC Tech to say this, that I look back on some of the data that I shared from NC Tech's reports that they have used. I shared with our CEO, and little did I know, the questioning that I was receiving at the time was related to some decision making regarding the headquarters for Truist. So I think North Carolina is a great state for a lot of talent, and I'm proud that we're still here.
It's great. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Darren and Connie, for getting me off the hook a little bit there. So I want to take a question that we got from our chat, and I'm going to reshape it just a little bit because I think it's something we're probably all encountering, right? So we're talking about all these wonderful things that are occurring with technology and the ability to collaborate, ability to work in the space we're at, and but to be honest, right, our days are a little bit long right now. I'm sure everyone's feeling that a little bit, and I think some of that is attributed to that water cooler conversation or the quick run by someone's cubicle that was a 2-minute conversation now has become a meeting. One of our attendees basically asked any advice that you have to address what could be something that could be handled in 2 minutes instead of having a 30-minute meeting pop up in our calendar. Something that we're gonna have to think about with the future of work.
So I'll go first, Harold. I would jump in to say that can't speak for other organizations, but Blue Cross Blue Shield, we are working hard through our learning and development organization to create training and making it available to leaders in the organization to help them handle what really is this new world order. Again, as I mentioned earlier, in any given day, we have 50 to 75% of our employees on campus, but we're now at 98 to 99% people working remotely. And so the learning and organization development has done a great job of creating and curating content for managers to help them sort of navigate or negotiate those waters. And then for me, there are a couple simple things that you can do, right? As a leader, you've got to make sure that you're available, whether it's through email or whether it's through Microsoft Teams chat or whatever chat functionality you may have or platform you may have within your organization, but also a cell phone, right? Everyone on my team has my cell number. They know they can use it anytime. It's not terribly high tech, but I'm available. They can't get a hold of me via the chat. They can get a hold of me via the cell phone. And again, it's just incumbent upon managers to make sure that they're available to the folks in their teams.
I'll jump in really quickly on that too. As someone who's been remote for 16 years working from Charlotte because I don't want to move to the West Coast, I will say that I have definitely flexed muscles and learned that you have to be deliberate in communication. It has to be in the moment, real time, use whatever technology that you have. We have Slack. Slack has a way where you can call people quickly, so you can do that water cooler conversation, send them a quick instant message, get on the phone. But I do think that it has pushed managers to be more deliberate with how they interact. And I think it's a good muscle.
Great. Thank you, Ashley. I won't address this slight technology hiccup I just had, but I think I'm through it. So hopefully everyone hears me. But I think it's great to hear that perspective, right? And probably one of the things that we all need to do is try to find ways to create those time influxes where we handle something that probably is a 5-minute conversation and not a 30-minute Zoom meeting, because we are all probably getting a little exhausted when it comes to that. So just some stuff for us to think about as we move forward. I gave a little bit of a preview of a question earlier when we were talking about employee experience, but Darren, I want to pivot back to you as far as the candidate experience, right? Before any of us were employees where we currently work, we're candidates. Really, the experience starts there. So Darren, if you want to share some thoughts there.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think to your point, before you become an employee, you're a candidate. And before you're even a candidate, you're maybe just someone out there looking at opportunities. And so I feel like I don't want to be too competitive, but for 2 years in a row, Blue Cross Blue Shield North Carolina has won a Candidate Experience Award that are put out by the Talent Board. And hopefully this will be our third year in a row winning an award. And so I think the things that we have done are, again, fairly commonsensical in nature. A lot of it does rely upon technology, taking advantage of new platforms as they become available, making sure that the website looks and feels and is easy to use, making sure that individuals who are considering your company know that your company is interested in more than just the job that you might fill for them. With Blue Cross Blue Shield, I find that to be very easy because of all the work that we do across the entire state. I believe I can say accurately, we're the only healthcare system that provides services to members or individuals in all 100 counties of the state of North Carolina. And that's something that we are very proud of and that we take very seriously. And so again, candidates aren't necessarily just interested in a job. They may become interested in a company through a job. But once they find out a little bit more about the company, that's really your opportunity to sort of reel them in, to get connected with them, more than just on a job description level. But what is the mission? What is the vision? What is your organization doing for its community, not just for itself?
Great, Darren. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts there. And again, I'll take in some of our personal experiences at APC, working with a variety of clients. I certainly see some clients who excel in the getting candidates exciting. We're talking about this competition for talent, and often the people that you want to hire, a lot of other companies want to hire as well. So ensuring that their experience from day one is one of professionalism, one that gets them excited to work. One of the first questions I always ask my clients is, share with me, please, why someone would be excited about this role. Allow us to help you get someone excited about working in your organization. So I think even a greater emphasis on that, because options may be more for the stronger candidates that we're looking to hire, whether they're able to work remote, whether they're able to have their pick of jobs. How they feel and that experience is critical. So Darren, thank you for sharing, what you're doing, and hopefully this is some good information for our audience. As we continue to jump around a little bit, because we've got a pretty broad topic on the future of work. I want to make sure we're hitting a number of the areas, and we've talked a little bit about the benefit aspect of some of the things that we're doing. And Connie, I'm going to come back to you, and I think you've touched on certainly the caregiver aspect and a number of the things that Truist is doing. Anything else that you can share that you believe in 2021 as we move into next year will be important to employees that maybe weren't as important a couple years ago?
Well, definitely. Flexible work arrangements, which we've talked about already a few times this morning, will definitely be a benefit to a lot of our teammates. And I see in the chat, there's a question about having that mixed workforce of those that are really the haves and have-nots of that. Being Truist and having branches, call centers, operation centers where you have to have teammates there on site. They definitely don't receive that benefit of having a flexible work arrangement, even if that just doesn't mean working at home. But also, I feel like a benefit that's coming for teammates is having more of a flexible work schedule, and having that set 9 to 5, if you would, type of model for a branch doesn't also allow for that. That has definitely been a discussion, though, that we've had, and how do we deal with that? And I think we're working towards, what are the perks that we can provide to those teammates and that teammate population that may be different than other teammates too, and move away from the one-size-fits-all approach or that peanut butter spread model that I think companies have used in the past, and I know for sure that we have. So that's definitely a benefit. Another benefit that I see on the horizon that sort of fits with that is just this teammate-centric design of thinking about, again, the employee experience and how do you provide that work experience that really connects with the teammates. I've heard lots of things recently talking about culture and how your culture, you need to have a culture where everyone feels like they fit in. And that's really when you start thinking about your teammates and designing for them versus more of a top-down approach. And then I would say probably the next one that I see that's emerging and will continue to grow and get bigger. It's not something that's new, but that's about social activism and community responsibilities. Companies have played this role over the past, but I just see a greater demand for that. And I think there's a greater demand from employees and teammates to want to participate and want to be involved. And so, what that could look like could be additional time off for activism. It could be more consistent focus on charity work or volunteer opportunities. So I feel like that is going to be so important, and companies more than ever will need to ensure that teammates feel connected to the communities in which they live and they work. I think that's
spot on, Connie. Connie, that's wonderful, and spot on to where we are in 2020. Certainly, the ability to have employees spend time in causes that they're passionate about is really going to be a key factor moving forward. Ashley, wanted to get some thoughts from you on the same topic.
Yeah, so I love the flexibility that Connie talked about, especially as we need to map better to people's lives and make sure the work works with their life and not just with what we're dictating to them. I think that candidates will look for those opportunities moving forward. The other two things that I think are going to be super important. One, mental health benefits. I think that's on personal levels and professional levels for everyone. And so I think, companies will look to expand those significantly in the future. And the other thing, I think that the bank world might think this sounds crazy, but it's actually a benefit that costs a company zero, and that is comfortable dress, lack of dress code. What you see at our company tagged is like shorts, sandals, t-shirts. And moving forward, I do think people are going to want to feel as comfortable in the office as they have been working from home. And let's not kid that there's a reason that pajama sales are up so significantly this year. You know, it's like the birth of the business mullet being acceptable has happened. So I think that's something easy that companies can look into.
I do want to address that because I think that is so important. You know, we have been a very, you know, as a banking bank, we are very traditional still in many ways. And we have relaxed our dress code somewhat. I will say that we call it dress for your day. But what that really means is most of our teammates that are in branches still dress, you know, more professionally than others. I had gotten to the point where I could wear jeans to the office, so that was like, wow, you know. But now that we're working from home, I just think it's amazing that you see all these teammates that you used to see in suits and heels, and now you're getting this glimpse into their personal life, and they're in their pajamas or whatever, and you just have seen teammates in a whole different light, which I think is a great benefit for, you know, team building and really getting to know one another and their true self.
It's a great point, right? What you just said is getting to know your true team, right? Often when we're physically going into the office, you know, it's not the full representation at times of who we are. So you are starting to see your personalities and, you know, things and that's indicated in the clothing you wear, right? So I think based on a setting, there's different levels. I've probably worn shorts about 85 days in a row before today. So, but you're comfortable and you're able to, I think for everyone, work in a manner that sets you up for success. And we don't have to look at some of the traditional measures that have been there in the past. So appreciate everyone sharing that. We've got an interesting question that just came in from one of our talent acquisition leaders that's doing today. And we've been talking about flexibility. We've been talking about remote, but is going to be a time when companies want, even if it's at a minimal basis, employees to come back in. And question to our panelists is, how are you gauging yet the level of interest and concern from staff on returning to the office? Does that come up at all?
Oh, sorry, I don't mean to jump in so quickly. So I will tell you, Harold, since we sort of closed campus, our organization has surveyed our employees twice, again, since, I guess, the middle of March, asking some very direct questions about level of comfort, working from home, the ability to work from home, juxtaposed to returning to the office. And so, again, I think we do a really great job as an organization of taking the temperature of our people, making sure that before we make any decisions that we are taking into consideration the thoughts that our employees have related to the potential for return to work.
Great, Darren. I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm gonna, we're at about 10 minutes right now. I think we could easily allot multiple hours for this conversation. Starting to see some really good questions come in, and have one as it relates to training in a remote environment. Is it, and Connie, I know that you've got a change management background. I don't know if this is something you want to tackle or one of our other panelists, but how do you see future training of new employees, or even future training and growth opportunities for current employees in a remote or flexible environment?
Well, because of our large geographic area that we cover, we have been doing virtual training for new hires for a long time. I mean, probably 10 plus years now, I would say. But what I think that we'll have to get better at now that we're more remote and not connected is, how do we really introduce the culture? How do you really introduce, the ways of working and the things that are so important? How do you build connections with people when you are sitting at home and they're sitting at their home, maybe not even in the same town? And so we have to get better at doing some of those things and thinking through, how people feel that sense of belonging to the company. I think Deloitte said that 93% of employees said that having that sense of belonging drives your organizational performance. And they really believe that. And so I believe that as well. And we have to figure out, if we're all going to be spread apart, how do you create that type of sense of belonging? How do you create that connection? how do you help people feel a part of that culture in a virtual environment? And I can't say that that's something we've solved yet, but definitely on the horizon.
I'll jump in with that. Just like the recruiting team had to pivot, our events team obviously pivoted. We had lots of things planned that were supposed to be in person, and obviously those got thrown away. But they have done an incredible job of pivoting and making sure that our employees do stay connected, and that, to Connie's point, the new employees are learning and understanding what our culture looks like. Everything from show and tell, where people are putting out kind of the new features that they're working on, or just R&D ideas, to like social. So how to do a cheese board, or how to make jam at home, or how to do floral arrangements. And our CEO, Ken, his brother is some big time DJ. So we'll have happy hours where he's DJing. So they've done a lot of really great things to try and keep that community together.
Great. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Connie. And again, thank you to our audience for asking these questions. And one thing I'd be remiss if I didn't mention again is that there has been a significant amount of wonderful content that's been shared today, ideas, thoughts with our panelists, certainly, and also those of you on chat. So please know that this video will be accessible to you and to others in your network after today. I know that on NC Tech's event page, you'll want to go to the past events, that a recording of this will be available. So just highly encourage everyone to visit that page on NC Tech, not only for today's, there's a lot of content out there that is just truly amazing. So also, I know NC Tech has a YouTube page as well that today's session will be available. So I know for me, I'm excited to share with my organization and my team, and a lot of thoughts that we can look to embrace internally and also share with our client base. So wanted to mention that. We're at about 6 minutes, but certainly certainly want to get one more question in that for our panel. And hopefully at this point we can all agree that an inclusive and diverse workplace is a stronger workplace, one that we all want to be in. Yet does it lead to better business decisions and enhanced revenue? How do we measure how effective a program around diversity and inclusion is in the future of work? So a little bit of a multi-pronged question, but Ashley, I know you can handle it, so I'll throw it back your way.
Well, I think if your leaders are questioning why it's important, there are now studies that have been published that prove diversity in the workforce increases innovation, and of course that in turn increases revenue and profitability. I'm super fortunate to work with our head of DEI, Ash Coleman, every day about this work and figure out kind of how we are going to make change with this. And there's a lot of ways that she and I are going to measure the effectiveness of the strategies outside of just these revenue components. I would say that in the future, the most important part of your D&I strategy is actually a letter that's not yet there, and that is DEI, which is for equity. You really need to start adding equity into the strategies for a reason, and that's because that is really where the difference is made. We've all heard that analogy of like diversity is being invited to the dance, inclusion is being asked to dance, but the equity piece is really like, are they playing the music that you like to dance to? Are there people there that you want to dance with? And so I think in clear work terms, equity really is the piece of where we ask, like, are we appropriately leveling and promoting people of color and women in the same increments of time as their white male peers? Are you using structured interviewing techniques to remove the bias? Are we leveling appropriately during the hiring process? And are we giving equitable promo opportunities? I think those are the pieces that we need to be quantifying and measuring. All people are acknowledged for the skill sets that they come to the interview and the workplace with. Maybe someone has done a career change and had spent 15 years in management at Starbucks. Are we saying that their manager skills at Starbucks are not applicable to the job that they're applying for? Like, we have to look at different ways and different lenses on this problem. So.
Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate the insight. I appreciate, and I think certainly seeing it from our audience today, the bringing equity into this, and that's the part of the conversation that will truly move things forward. So, we're at about 3 minutes right now. We can all just stay here for another 2 hours. I'm sure none of us have any other meetings we got to get to, but okay, I guess we do need to wrap it up. So I will ask our panel just for a closing thought, and anything that you want to share, anything that you want our audience to think about as we move forward. And Darren, I'm going to kick it back to you.
Oh gosh, well, thank you, Harold, for choosing me first. It's good to reverse order. I think this is a great conversation. It is a shame that we only had an hour, because I'm looking at the Q&A and the chat, and we could continue this conversation till noon at least. I would want to urge anyone working in talent management, talent acquisition, change management, to keep an open mind. Even if you think you've got the answer, you more than likely don't have the answer. And it is really important to be thinking about candidate experience, employee experience, as you go about thinking about change. So making sure that you are inclusive, and that you are creating an equitable workplace for everyone. And I think we haven't always done that naturally.
Darren, thank you. Connie?
Well, I am definitely going to give a plug about thinking about the employee experience, because I think, and we said it before today, but I'm going to say it again, and this is going to be my closing thought, that it has to be a top objective for companies as they look to evolve and adapt to change. And leaders have to get really intentional about the behaviors and the experience, the culture that they're trying to create. And by culture, I do not mean just the posters on the wall with your vision and mission statement. I think leaders really have to just lean in on, how do they work? How do we want to work? How do we want to make decisions? How do we include others? How do we empower them and develop them? How do we celebrate success? How do we treat failures? Are we socially responsible? What does that look like? So all of those things have to be weaved into the employee experience. Or the employee life cycle as well. And so that's just my plug to say, if you haven't thought about it yet, you need to. And if you have, it's okay to continue evolving and growing and recreating some of those things.
Connie, thank you very much. Ashley?
I think my parting words are definitely get your teams, your companies and managers away from this culture fit. That is not going to work in building a more equitable and diverse workforce. There's a lot of strategies to use, but I think, moving towards using structured interviewing and making them see that, yes, of course, everyone likes to hire someone they want to have a beer with, but if you're looking at how your company is developing products for your customers, what does your customer base look like? Your insides should match your outsides. And so stop looking at just hiring everyone that's all, gone to the same school, done the same things. Look for people who can add a different perspective to what you're building for your customer.
Great. Thank you very much, Ashley. I want to thank our audience. The level of engagement via chat and the Q&A function exceeded the high expectations that we had. And it was wonderful to see that dialogue, and it appears that there's going to be a lot of dialogue that comes from this. So again, we'll share this. Please connect with each other via LinkedIn. And I know that if there's some things that we didn't address, you can certainly reach out to me. Not hard to find me on LinkedIn with my name. We'll go ahead and follow up. I really, and I know that's 3 reallys, but I don't care right now. I want to thank our panel. You guys were amazing. The insight you shared, the knowledge that you have, and the glimpse into the future of what is to come is just, we're all fortunate to have that today. So thank you. And with that said, Emily, I butchered my timing by a minute, but back to you.
I would give you many, many, many more minutes, Harold and Ashley, Connie, and Darren, if I could. And we will definitely provide this chat transcript so y'all can reference that back again. And again, the recording will come out. I just want to bring two quick things to your attention to close out. But before I do, thank you so much to APC as well as Right Direction Technology Solutions to be our sponsors for this network, and Harold for moderating. Incredible as always. And we are gearing up for our virtual job fair in just 2 weeks from today. So I know we might have some folks on here who have some positions they are looking to fill. And if you'd be interested in participating, I will send out some information in a follow-up, or just reach out to me at emily@nctech.org and we'll get that going. And our tech awards are just around the corner. It is our big celebration of incredible achievements and successes in North Carolina. So if you have not heard already, we're doing a slightly different format, and there are more details at nctech.org/awards, and we will be announcing more details to come. So with that, I thank you all again for participating here, our panel, and to you all for attending, and we will be seeing you very soon. Thanks so much, and you'll have a great day.
Thank you.